Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Please get seated. We're going to be starting very shortly with our musical performance. Good evening, everybody. Please get seated. We're going to be starting with our musical performance in just a few minutes.
Welcome, everyone. Please start taking your seats as we're going to start with our musical performance. If anybody's confused about their table number, it's written in small numbers on the bottom of your name tag, so please check that out.
All right, everybody, we're going to get started. Please get seated. We are very privileged today to have Gitesh join us. I'd love to give a quick introduction on a very special guest, Gitesh. We are very honored to have him. Gitesh was the finalist at Indian Idol 5 in 2010, a finalist at X Factor. He's performed at over 1,000 stage shows across the world with several Bollywood stars and bigwigs. And he's a vocal coach to some celebrated child prodigies and is a product leader at Apple. And his latest single made the Grammy shortlist. Please welcome Gitesh.
Good evening, everybody. OSAAT Did you guys get the point? OSAAT tere bina hi kya jeena. You got it? You got it? All 4.5 of you. But thank you very much, OSAAT team, for having me. We're going to do a few songs, and I have been chartered with pumping you guys up by making sure you don't get out of your seats. So it's like a tall order. So what I'm going to do, we'll do a couple of songs, and in that I want you all to sing, perform, whatever you want to do with me. Is that ready? So let's start. I want to do a quick Ganesh Vandana quickly, the customary one, and then I'd like you guys to join me in that. Ready? just follow me, right? Sa re ga ma pa. Alright, two beat, a little more energy, right? Sa re ga ma pa. Sa re ga ma pa da pa. Sa ni da ma pa. Repeat. Sa ni da ma pa. Go. Sa re ga ni re. Ni re ga ma pa. Ni re ga ma pa da pa. Pa pa da pa. Pa da ni da pa. Pa da ni sa ni da pa. Pa da da pa pa da pa pa da ni sa ni ga ni sa ni sa da ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni. Ni sa ni sa ni sa ni sa ni sa ni sa ni ga ni sa ni sa ni sa ni sa ni sa ni ga ma pa da ma da ni sa ni ga ni sa da ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga. Ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma ga ni ga ni sa ni da pa da pa ma All right, what song was that? So you guys think you guys are good singers? Okay, let's see. How many people want to listen to old music? How about that? That's 6 people. 7. 8.5. 7. Now people are joining the bandwagon out of pressure. How many people want to listen to new music? There's a more boisterous audience. तो नया कर देंगे एक और नया करेंगे. We have 2 more songs का slot. Anuji is looking at me. He's like सारे जल्दी कर. ठीक है? So we have song slots for 2. So let's do one new song where you sing with me as much as you want. और एक गाना करेंगे where I want to test another skill of yours. चलेगा? I'm loving it. The control I have right now. Getting there? How many people from different parts of India? How many Tamilians in the house? 7 people. How many bongs in the house? Only 1. What? 0 OSAAT? OSAAT? I think we need to be more diverse. From the Bangla area. How many Gujus in the house? What? Saras. Bahu Saras. Maharashtrians. Baki log kidhar se? How many Kannadigas in the house? Alright. Because I have only one more song. We can't do Kannada right now. End mein karenge boss. Bahut karenge boss. Tension nahi. So the next song and the last song of this section is going to be, okay, here's the game. There's a lot of songs being played in this. Okay? You guys have heard most of it. What you have to do is you have to count the number of songs that I'm singing. Very simple, right? Whoever gets the right answer gets to donate the most. That's an August opportunity in September. Ready? Let's go. So you have to count this also, right? That's the song. Songs were there in this? Let's see, how many? 11, 9. So far there were 13 songs. Actually, this is part of a song from the movie Rabne Bana Di Jodi by the amazing Salim Sulaiman. By the way, thank you very much for entertaining. We'll see you in some time, but it's time for the next, actually the grand finale of the show. So thank you very much. You guys enjoyed? You guys are warmed up for the next part of the show? Alright, thank you so much everybody.
Good evening, everybody.
Welcome, everyone. Let's please give another round of applause for that beautiful music performance by Geetesh.
Welcome to the OSAAT Gala. We are so excited to have you all here. I'm Nikita, and this is my co-host Shruti, and we'll be your MCs for this evening. A bit about us. The two of us met a couple years ago through our families. Today I work in product management and cybersecurity and chase after my 3-year-old daughter, and Shruti works in VC. Impact work is close to both of us. For the last 15 years outside of work, I've been running a nonprofit where I work with low-income women to help them start jobs, to help them find jobs and start small businesses.
And I've spent 5 years in professional and leadership development for South Asian women as a co-founder of Natri.org, which is a 501c3 nonprofit and community of over 3,500 South Asian professional leaders. Thank you. Nikita and I are so grateful for the opportunity to represent this amazing cause at OSAAT today. So we have a full house here. Raise your hand if this is your first time at an OSAAT event. That is more than 7 people, and that is a lot of people. Welcome so much, and I'm thrilled that we have such a great mix of folks that have been around the table here for a while, as well as folks that are joining the story for the first time. So tonight, you'll hear from the key OSAAT leaders about the organization's goals for 2030. You'll hear leadership lessons and reflections on the impact of education from guest speakers Jeetu Patel, Yamini Rangan, Chandra Pattabhiram, and Rajiv Ramaswamy, followed by a pledge drive, dinner, and more music.
Tonight, our theme is Empowered Dreams. And what we mean by that is by 2013, our goal is to empower 1 million students, rural students in India, to have access to education. The problem of rural education in India is complex and multifaceted. It starts with infrastructure. When you speak to a lot of these students, you hear about the fact that a lot of them don't have access to schools. Often the schools don't have the proper clean water, toilets, just basic necessities. And this especially impacts girls from coming back into school. The second problem is around the quality of education. As Shruti and I were kind of reading more on this, we found out that the average ratio of teachers to students in rural India is 1 student to over 35 students to 1 teacher. And often this problem causes a lot of schools to be understaffed or be taught by teachers who are not equipped to teach. And you see a massive divide in just the literacy rate in rural students. And finally, looking at the divide as we get to digital education. If you look at urban India, about 80% of students will have access to a computer versus in rural India, only about 20% will touch a computer before they reach 18. This is a complex problem, and OSAAT is attacking it at many levels.
As Nikita said, this is where OSAAT becomes a powerful enabler. By investing in the physical infrastructure of schools, from providing clean water, safe classrooms, establishing digital learning centers, we're not just building schools, we're building bridges over the rural-urban divide. The work that we do creates a domino effect of hope, making schools truly a hub for community pride and a place where learning can truly happen. Your presence and support tonight is so important. Everyone here, can ignite the change that can ensure that every child in India has the tools to dream and build a better future. So at any point this evening, if you feel inspired, there are pledge cards on your tables, as well as QR codes that you can use to submit a pledge. And so to kick things off, we're going to start with a video about OSAAT for everyone here to learn more.
ಹೊಸ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ತುಂಬ ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸ್ ಖರ್ಚೇನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
जहाँ के OSAAT संस्था वहाँ उड़ा किचन बाथरूम नल व्यवस्था एम किया.
बच्चों में काफ़ी खुशी है, हमको काफ़ी खुशी है कि हमारे विद्यालय के बच्चे अब आराम से बैठेंगे और पढ़ेंगे भी.
Kawan-kawan kami belajar ke OSAAT Gala ini kena building school.
Pawai kebanggaan itu tempat ya kerja fungsional ini ketambah.
Kadang-kadang school kemana akan dikeluar ke pemerintah nomor pakai ka pasat tim lingba jung kena smart village movement. Kila ayah kena yang school ka ba ke building ka baskan madu kata-kata.
ಇವಾಗ OSAAT ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ಸು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಚಿತ್ರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಯಾರು ಆಬ್ಸೆಂಟೀಸ್ ರೇಟ್ ತುಂಬ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಸರ್.
ஸோ இந்த கிளாஸ் ரூம்ஸ் வந்து ரொம்ப சஃபஸ்டிகேட்டடாக ஸ்பேஷியஸாக இருக்கிறதுனால ஒரு குட் என்விரான்மெண்ட் கிரியேட் பண்ணிச்சு. அதுதான் எங்களுக்கு வந்து 11th பப்ளிக் எக்ஸாமில் ஒரு மார்க்ஸ் ஸ்கோர் பண்ண ரொம்ப ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல்லாக இருந்துச்சு.
One school at a time. OSAAT நிறுவனத்திற்கு நாங்கள் நன்றி சொல்லாமல் இருக்கவே முடியாது. நன்றி நன்றி நன்றி.
OSAAT பில்டிங் கட்டி கொடுத்ததுனால தான் நாங்கள் இந்த ஸ்டெம் கிராஃபியும் இந்த அட்டல் டிகிரி கிராஃபியும் நம்ம வந்து உருவாக்க முடிஞ்சது. ரொம்ப ரொம்ப நன்றி.
నిజంగా ఈ బిల్డింగ్ కట్టించినందుకు మాకు చాలా సంతోషంగా ఉంది. మంచి మంచి ఫ్రీ రూమ్స్ ఇచ్చారు. చాలా విశాలంగా ఆయన మార్క్ టైల్స్ పెద్ద బోర్డు.
We are very thankful and we thank from the core of my heart.
I am really grateful to the OSAAT organization who has done a commendable job by providing us opportunity to provide the education to our children.
With the help of OSAAT Foundation, our school has built very high quality infrastructure and facilities for the students.
I sincerely thank OSAAT for their generous donation, which has completely transformed our school.
ಬಾಲಕ ಬಾಲಕಿಯರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರತ್ಯೇಕವಾಗಿ ಸುವ್ಯವಸ್ಥಿತವಾದ ಶೌಚಾಲಯಗಳನ್ನು ನಿರ್ಮಿಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
12 किलोमीटर अराउंड के लोग आते हैं और करीब 32 विलेजेस के लोग बच्चे लोग हमारे यहाँ आते हैं. अच्छा. I will see if she wants to take my place. Very good.
We have two awardees, sir. Sir is last year's Dr. Radhakrishnan awardee, sir, and this year Dr.
What an incredible video. Kudos to the whole team that put that together. I thought it was just such an amazing illustration of the before and after. Many of you were here last year. I was here last year too, and something that's been incredible for me to see has been the pace of action by this organization. In just 1 year from last year's gala, just this, when we were all sitting in the same room, 17 schools have already gotten under construction. Each of these schools is serving 600 students, so we're already close to 10,000 students that are now going to have access to education for the next 12 years. And this is just the physical infrastructure. There's a whole digital program that comes with this as well. This week, I got the chance to speak to one of the students in India. Her name is Rashmi, and she's from the Bareilly school. And it was just incredible to hear her journey. She grew up in a small village where she had access to school till about 8th grade. She was the first female in her family to go to school. After 8th grade, she was not going to continue schooling. Her family was not supportive of her going very far away. And the OSAAT school started near her. And so she got the chance to actually go to high school at the OSAAT school. And she was going to be she ended up being just 2 out of 30 girls of her class of 8th grade that went on to complete not just 8th grade, high school, but now she is pursuing her bachelor's and planning to start her own business, and she dreams of coming abroad, right? What was incredible about this story was a few things. One, her family was not able to fund her tuition for school. So in addition to her joining the OSAAT school, she found ways to pay for her own education. She got jobs on the side, she coached, and she had never also touched a computer till she was 18. And so once she got to the OSAAT school, she got to do digital literacy, touch a computer for the first time, and now she has become a coach in the school to also teach computers as well as all the several other courses. It just shows the power of this organization. She's just one of a million people that we want to impact, and you could see the confidence that she has. You could see how she is already contributing to her family, and you can see just the power of this program and just lifting a whole family, a whole community by setting examples like her. This story gave me chills. This is real impact, moving at an incredibly fast pace. And if any of you go to India, you can actually go see this in action. So now we're going to move on to the speakers of our session today. We're really excited to have a whole set of fantastic speakers. We're going to hear from Jeetu Patel and Rajiv Ramaswamy on a discussion about Jeetu's own life trajectory, how education played a role for them, and how they think about giving back. So to lead this discussion, I'd like to invite Rajiv Ramaswamy, the CEO of Nutanix and longtime member of OSAAT, and Jeetu Patel, President and Chief Product Officer at Cisco. Please give a warm welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. How many of you were here last year for the event? So I've been involved with OSAAT for many, many years, and the reason I do this is because this cause is near and dear to my heart. And you can see the impact that education has on transforming lives. Last year, if you were here, you probably saw Jay Chowdhury on stage, and he's an archetypal example of someone whose life was transformed by education. His story, of course, which he said very eloquently, was he grew up in a village in Himachal Pradesh. He had to walk to the neighboring village's school. School was dilapidated. He had to study under a tree, no running water, no electricity, till he got to high school. And look at where he is now. He came here, he's a founder of 3 companies, and now he runs Zscaler. But that's the power of education. And what we try and do is to make that available to everybody. It has a transformative impact. It can help you overcome adversity. Now today, it's an honor for me to have Jeetu Patel here. I'll tell you, I've gotten to know Jeetu over the last few years as a business partner. And it's just been a fantastic journey to get to know Jeetu, not only just as a huge business leader. He runs all product at Cisco, massive company, and he's transforming Cisco to the next generation, making them a relevant player in AI, for example, and just completely changing Cisco's future trajectory. While he does all of that, he's so accessible. He spends time mentoring people, and I've gotten to know him also as a person. That's what we're here today to talk about, Jeetu as a person. Now, I also have to thank one other person. This is just a joke, Because when I reached out to Jitu about coming here, he said, yeah, I'd love to come. Immediately, by the way, no hesitation. I mean, fantastic. But he said, there's a possibility that I may have to go see the Pope that day. Literally the Pope. No, so I think we have to thank the Pope because he allowed us to have Jitu here today. And not only that, by the way, he's actually off on an overseas trip right after this. He's heading out to get on a plane to fly out. And so it really is incredible that Jitu was able to go spend the time here. And Jitu, please come up. Wonderful to have you up here, and let's have us a chat. Please give him a big hand, please.
Thank you for a great intro.
Thank you. Please.
By the way, Gitesh, this is not the final act. Yours was the final act, buddy. There's nothing I'm going to say that's going to match your singing, wherever you are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Gitesh, you are awesome. Awesome, awesome. And look forward to getting you back here, by the way, later today. So he's going to be performing more. So, Jitu, this, you've had an interesting personal journey and a lot of lessons, life lessons learned. Here, this is about overcoming adversity. It's about the impact of education. And you were actually a poster child for how some of this happened. Tell us a bit about your life growing up there and some of the adversities that you had to encounter pretty early on in your life.
So the lucky part is I actually got most of my adversity early on, and I think it's much easier to actually have the hard times early than later in life. So hopefully smooth sailing from here on. But so my dad was a high stakes con man. He was like Bernie Madoff, and he was he used to be very abusive to my mom. He was actually had taken a lot of money from people to the point that it was not safe for me to be in India. And so in 1991, I decided to put my mother in an undisclosed location. I was very close to my mom. I'm the only child. Jyoti, my better half, tells me it explains a lot about me that I'm the only child. But we put my mom in an undisclosed location, and I decided to come to America. And one of the things I'd say is a lot of us actually are very privileged to have access to a platform. So by the way, I left India in 91. I didn't go back for any kind of meaningful time until 2017, when I took my daughter back, who's 14 now. She was 5 at the time. 5, Jyoti, was it? Yeah. And so we went back there, and we met this. I said, I want to take her to the Taj Mahal, and I want to go out and do all of these things with her. So we took her to the Taj Mahal, and we had this tour guide, Raj. And this is an interesting kind of story on why it's so important that we kind of value what we have. Because Raj was this, he was giving us a tour of the Taj, and he knew his product really well. Like, he knew all the history and all the details. I don't know if he was making this shit up, but he was sounding pretty eloquent, And so but every single time someone would walk by, every once in a while, he'd bust out in a different language. He'd speak something in Mandarin, he'd speak something in German, he'd speak something in French. So at some point in time, I'm like, dude, how many languages do you speak? And he goes, oh, I speak about 7 or 8 or some very high number, but I learn a new language every year. I'm like, why is that? He's like, because all these customers come over here and I want to honor them, and so I want to make sure that I actually learn their language rather than being pretentious enough to think that they're going to learn my language. And I'm thinking to myself at this point, I used to be at Box, I'm like, this guy is categorically smarter than any person on the executive team, and just as smart as any salesperson that we have, but he probably makes like 10, 15 bucks a day. And we had the privilege of going out and living a very good life in America. And the reason for that is because all of us had access to a platform. We had the platform of education, we had the platform of America, we had the platform of tech, and so what I've always felt is, yes, of course, all of us have adversity, but when you've actually been given the gift of having a platform, you need to make sure that you make the most of it. And I think all of us sitting over here have access to a platform. And so I'm really glad to see everyone gathered here today for such a great cause. I didn't know much about OSAAT, but kind of hats off to you folks.
No, thank you, Jitu. I know after you came here, I know that education was a big part of your journey here to get you to where you are today. And it wasn't easy also for you, right? I mean, you had to pay, you had to work to pay your way through college. And I think, I remember seeing one of your videos where you talked about that quite eloquently, about your time at Sizzler and what you had to do over there. So tell us a bit about that. I think it's an interesting story for folks to hear.
So I used to wait on tables at a fine dining restaurant called Sizzler, for those of you that are aware. It's an average tip of $1. And what happened during that time is probably an interesting story because, you always, you feel like it's very easy to get hubris about the fact that you've succeeded in life. But the reality is you stand on shoulders of giants. So I'll give you 2 or 3 stories that might be worthwhile. First one was when I first came here, I was about to get deported because I didn't have enough money to pay for school. And my professor decided to give me a teaching assistantship as an undergrad, 4 undergrads, only because she was kind enough to say, you know what, this kid seems like he works hard, let's give him a chance. And so that actually allowed me to go to school because I didn't have enough money to pay for school. So that was, story number 1. But then the story number 2 was pretty profound because that same professor got me introduced to a company in Chicago. A couple of kids from Xerox had started the company. They weren't kids, they were in their 30s, but they had started the company. It was a market research firm, and I started interning there, and about 6 or 9 months ago, they said, hey, one of our original investors is going to be buying the company out. And so we're going to be buying the company out with them. Now, mind you, at this time, I'm like, $4.25 an hour, which is minimum wage. And so, stupid me, I'm like, hey, I want in. I want to buy the company. Like, well, each one of us are putting in $250,000. Put in $250,000, you can buy in. So there was this banker who used to actually be my mentor, who was also the chairman of a bank, who was also the owner of the building, who was also a customer of ours. And so I went to him and I'm like, Harry and Uncle, I need to borrow $250,000. And so
one of your collateral was working at Sizzler?
My collateral, well, I had left Sizzler by that time, so I had upgraded to the internship. And so he goes, son, what are you going to do with $250,000? I'm like, I'm going to buy this company. He's like, what are you going to do when you buy it? I'm like, I'm going to run it. And he looked at me and then he said, okay, son, come by tomorrow, pick up the money. And he gave me $250,000. I ran that business for 17 years. And it was joy of a lifetime. In fact, that business is still running in Chicago. Those are not things that you can actually have a lot of ego about, saying, well, you were really smart. You did things that were there because you worked hard. No, they were just random people that, extended acts of kindness that actually made you change your trajectory of your life in a very, very material way. And so when you start thinking about that, you have to kind of give yourself a little bit of pause and say, wow, you're just lucky that you've actually got these angels around you who've been able to do this. If you have time, I can give you one more story that was...
Please do, please do.
And the story that then was, I hadn't seen my mom in 7 years now. She was in India, I was here. She couldn't get a visa to come here. I was very close to her. And, the whole time that I was there, I was in America. My entire singular objective was, I got to make sure that my mom doesn't go through the abusive behavior that she went through with her husband. And, my granddad was not necessary, was also very hot-headed. And so she had had a pretty rough life. And so my only objective was not to make money for any other reason. I was very financially motivated, but it was so that we could make sure that mom's okay, you know. And so fast forward, she moves here. You know, she decides to, but she says to me, Jitu, I'm going to live by myself. I don't want to live with anyone else. Jyoti and I kept trying. She said, Auntie, you know, she would say, Auntie, come over and live with us. She's like, no, I want to live by myself. You know, 10 years go by, 20 years go by, 30 years go by. And finally, she's getting a little old. And so I'm like, Mom, we got to make sure that we move you in with us. And so we decided to build a place for her in the backyard. And she was kind of, you know, she was starting to feel a little ill. And unfortunately, just 2 weeks in the place, she came and blessed it, but then she passed away. But before she passed away in the hospital, she was there for 8 weeks. And during that time, you know, like in most of our parents, how many have aging parents right now, with a show of hands? All of us are going through this in some way or form. Most of the time, you know, she had become my child as she had gotten older. And she wouldn't go to the grocery store without me. She wouldn't go to the doctor without me. Everything actually needed to be done with me. But in the last 8 weeks, she flipped again. And she said, I need to start telling you what you're doing wrong, you know. And she gave me a lot of guidance, a lot of coaching. We called every single person that had touched our lives during that time and said goodbye to them. But there was one lesson I'll kind of, for the younger ones at least, I'll kind of take away from this is, one night I was kind of profusely crying. It was like 1 in the morning. Jyoti had just gone home. I was kind of, you know, sitting by her in the hospital, but I was staying in the hospital, and I was profusely crying. And she looked at me all perplexed, and she said, I had no idea that you loved me so much. And, you know, I'm like, this is just the most bizarre thing, because if there was one person that shouldn't be confused about the fact that I love her a lot, it's my mom. But somehow she was confused, and that was my lesson, was a lot of times we're stingy with words. And my advice to the younger people is work hard, but don't be stingy with words with your loved ones, because they might not know what's going on in your head. And tell them you love them, because sometimes it might make their life worth living.
So, Jitu, I mean, this is a fascinating journey that you've had. You had to overcome a lot of adversity. You had to pay for education. You had to work your way through school. You took a hold of opportunities. What sort of, I mean, what are the most important qualities or habits that you've learned? Because, you know, you went through a lot, and here you are, right, running Cisco, and it's, I don't think these things come by happenstance or just that you happen to be lucky to have mentors. I think there's a lot that you do yourself. And so what sort of, like I said, what are those qualities or habits that have helped you persist through all of this, endure, and become successful?
I don't know, I actually think a lot has to do with luck. I feel like 90% is luck, 10% is preparation for the time that an opportunity presents itself to you. But the biggest thing that the few lessons that I've learned, I'll give you kind of an example of what happened. So when I came here, I used to stutter. I couldn't say the word hello when I picked up the phone, you know, and it was always very hard because you had to, hello, and then you could barely do that. So then what I started doing was I would say the word yeah before, instead of hello when I answered the phone, and my aunt would always get upset. She's like, why are you answering this phone in such an obnoxious way? It's because I used to stutter, you know. And I think what you have to do when these things happen, there were like a couple things that were seminal moments in my life that changed my mental chemistry. So one of them was the stuttering. I started waiting on tables. And when I waited on tables at Sizzler, the stuttering magically went away. Because you had to be social. I was very introverted. I was very shy. but you had to be social and you had to be almost an entertainer so that you got a good tip, right? And before you knew it, little by little, the stuttering went away because you stopped thinking about it. That was one. Number two, and I'll give you why this is important. It's like the development of confidence is pretty important. Number two was I didn't know how to type. So one day my uncle, who I used to work for, who was also very gracious and generous, and they'd put me up for a while when I first came here. I used to work for him at the time. He said, well, son, the problem is I can't pay you minimum wage because your typing speed is not much to write home about. And I really remember this because I used to type 15 words a minute, one finger. We had not really kind of learned how to type. And so what I did was I decided they were going to go out on New Year's Eve one weekend. I'm like, I'm going to stay home. And so I stayed home, and for 72 hours, a long period of time, I don't remember how much, but it was like just the entire weekend, I just typed. I got in at 20 words a minute. I got out at 90 words a minute by the time they were back.
Pretty awesome.
And the reason that these are important stories is what it did was it changed my wiring in my brain that said, oh, so if I put my mind to something, this is just a matter of conditioning. Anything's possible. And that actually started unlocking me, the overcoming of stuttering, the ability to type. And then all the other things that came after were pretty interesting because I didn't really know much about anything that I did, but it never really intimidated me. In fact, to the point that when I took this job, the last job, about a year and a half ago, Chuck makes fun of me when I say this because there was another guy that was doing this job on the, running the networking side of our business. At some point in time, Chuck said to me, hey, Jonathan's going to be leaving, so we're going to be looking for another person. I'm like, don't do that. Why don't you just let me run it? Because it'll just be easier to go out and have the entire product run by one person. He's like, Jitu, you know nothing about networking. And this is a networking company. I'm like, dude, I knew nothing about security 3 years ago when I came in. And I knew nothing about video. And so knowledge is no longer the prized asset. The ability to learn and condition yourself is actually far more important than the absolute level of knowledge that you might actually have. And I think for the younger generation, it's really important that you folks internalize that, because it's not what you know, but it's how you can actually get to a base level of dexterity on anything that you need to put your mind to get to, so that you can solve a problem. That is far more important than the absolute knowledge that you might have. And generally, most of the knowledge that you have gets dated within a certain amount of time anyway. If you actually get arrogant about experience, it becomes a liability. But if you get enthusiastic about learning, it becomes a force multiplier. And so that would be my kind of advice.
Wow. And there were so many nuggets in there, by the way, that I think we're going to have ChatGPT summarize that for us. But there was determination, persistence, a can-do attitude, a learning mindset, making use of opportunities, seeking mentors. I mean, there's just so many things in there that I was trying to follow along.
Aaron Levy is a good friend of mine. He's the CEO of Box. He's one of my, dearest friends. And one thing I learned from him is just never give up. And most people think when you get to a high position, every day is a great day. No freaking way is every day a great day. There are hard days every single day.
Yeah.
There are days when you feel like, man, this was hard. Am I going to make it? And that doesn't go away as you get more senior. But what does happen is if you've conditioned yourself to say, I'm never going to give up and I'm going to continue to keep inching forward. I tell my team, I'm like, just get 1.27% better every day. That's the power of compounding gets you to 100x better in a year. You don't need to get to 100x better in a day. Just get 1.27% better from what you were yesterday. And that compounds to 100x better in a year. And if you just consistently keep doing 100x better year in, year out, for as old as I am, for 33 years, good shit starts to happen. And that's great.
So last question for you, Jitu. Today is a giving day for us here. what does giving back to you mean personally? And how do you see it as part of your responsibility as a leader, as someone who's been very successful in the community, and who's worked hard to get to that spot?
In my mind, I think giving back probably is like 2 or 3 things. One is most people early in life lack the confidence and second guess themselves on whether or not they can do something. And so the first thing that I think we should all do, that I've actually had the privilege of being successful, is instill confidence in the next generation in whatever way that you want to instill it, by coaching, by giving them access to opportunity, by making sure that I spend an enormous amount of time with student interns. I go for hikes with them. I'll go actually talk to them. If anyone says, all my friends' kids, they all, talk to me on WhatsApp all the time. Because I learn as much from them, but the thing that's really important during that formative phase, and I didn't have this. In fact, what I had during the time early on was I had a lot of mocking that went on because I used to stutter. I didn't really have enough resources when I came here. My dad had done enough bad things to other people that they were associating me with my dad. And so what I had to do was, the instilling of confidence took a lot of grit. And for me, it was lucky. The only reason that I was able to do it is because I didn't have a choice, because I had to take care of my mom. So I'm like, I got to figure this out. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to take care of my mom. So the first thing is, in whoever the younger generation is, I think we have to make sure that we instill confidence, because largely we are, the upper limit that we put on ourselves on the ambition has less to do with our ability and more to do with our imagination. And so if you can have a very broad level of imagination in what you might be able to do, you will actually have a meaningful step function improvement on yourself. So the thing that I try to do is get the younger generation to, one, instill a lot of confidence in them, that everyone started early on not feeling like they'd be able to kind of fit in. And you just have to ask the question why over and over and over again, and don't conform to the status quo. That's number one. Number two, have them think really, really big. Because ambition and imagination is actually the underlying fuel for what you might actually get to. The upper limit is set by your imagination. Number three is you have to make sure that you instill in people that persistence and work ethic really matters. Like I always used to have, I had this one person that had told me early on in my career, Jitu, dark to dark. Be the first one to start, be the last one to end. I still work 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, maybe 7 days a week. Jyoti gets pissed off at me at times, but she actually is a great supporter, because she's like, this is who you are, and so I'm going to support you in who you are. And, because I feel like if I can't do it, it's very hard for me to ask my team to do it. And so you have to make sure that you actually have a work ethic. So that's the third thing is, confidence, imagination, persistence, and then work ethic. If you do those things, and then the last one, of course, is give them access to resource when they don't have it. And pick the people that are hungry, because you can teach a lot of things to people. I just don't think you can teach hunger. You either have it or you don't. So with people that are hungry, find those people and give them the boost, because those are the ones that I think are going to get the society to the next level. And I think we need a lot of, we need the next generation to come in and actually exceed the kind of ambitions that we've all set for ourselves. And if you look at the kids of this generation, and I've had the privilege of meeting a few of them, and they're impressive. And we got to make sure that we actually do everything we can to get them to be, superbly, contributory to society, so that the world gets to be a better place than what they found it.
And education is the foundation to that.
Education is absolutely the foundation of that. And this is, like, when you think about a resource, when I said resource, the best resource you can give someone is teaching them how to fish. And that's education. And so I've never found a time when someone who's hungry and has a thirst for knowledge has actually, on a persistent basis, not done well. Like, they'll eventually overcome that because that thirst for going out and learning just overcomes everything else that they might have. And humans have a ridiculous level of resilience. You know?
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do with all the kids that we try and educate there. So thank you very much.
I don't know much about OSAAT, but I will say this, since I would be, you know, I'll contribute $10,000 towards this right now, and I'm going to learn more about this, and when I'm in India, hopefully I'll
Please come and visit one of our schools.
I'll try to
yes,
do that.
no, and this is very generous of you. Thank you very much, Jitu, and thank you for taking the time to come here. Wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, Yamini. Actually, I'm a big fan of yours, but I do have to catch a flight, so I have to leave, but it's not because I'm being rude. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv and Jitu, for that excellent conversation. Please give them a round of applause. There was so much that stood out to me in that conversation, and I really feel like Jitu's story is a powerful illustration of our theme tonight, which is Empower Dreams. Beginning in India, traveling overseas, facing a ton of adversity, and just building a storied career solving problems for a global company like Cisco is amazing. And as he said, his enthusiasm for learning is palpable, and that's exactly what OSAAT aims to do for every child that they help create a beautiful educational environment for. So now I'm going to invite the president of OSAAT, Anu Jagadish, to share a brief presentation on the incredible impact that OSAAT is having, and that will be followed by a video where you can hear more directly from students about the impact the organization is having on them. Welcome, Anu.
Can you start the presentation? Awesome, awesome. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anuradha Jagdish, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here in front of you today, and I'm the president of OSAAT USA. It's truly an honor and a joy to welcome you all to the OSAAT Empower Dreams Gala. A heartfelt welcome to all our esteemed guests, sponsors, donors, and of course, the incredible OSAAT family. As you see in the pictures, these schools were built before the independence, and most of the government schools are falling apart. Across rural India, schools are crumbling. Unsafe classrooms push children out and into child labor. There are too few teachers, outdated methods, bright students left behind. During the COVID, the rural students fell behind in their learning. So what does OSAAT do? We rebuild schools and provide the basics, desks, books, and hygienic facilities, so children can stay in school with dignity. In 2016, we visited the village of Gyani in Bareilly district in Uttar Pradesh. There, a principal had turned his own home into a classroom, teaching 300 children under his roof. Inspired by his dedication, OSAAT built a sustainable school in 2017. Today, that school serves more than 1,500 students. So the 300 in less than 10 years has grown to 1,500 students, and students from 32 villages come to this nodal school. It's a safe place to learn, grow, and dream. As I mentioned, the COVID caused the students to be 2 years behind. So Odyssey is OSAAT's one-stop digital school solution, bringing together hardware, software, cloud, and connectivity with full training and support. Just last year near IIT Gandhinagar in Gujarat, we saw modern school buildings with smart TVs and even security cameras. But when we go in, there were only 2 teachers in the school. And we further, had conversation with the principal. There were over 100 school children in a single room because there were no teachers. The principal, with tears in his eyes, told us no children has ever gone to a college, forget IIT. That's when OSAAT, in collaboration with NEEV at IIT Gandhinagar, introduced Odyssey in the schools, bringing digital tools, trained teachers, and hope for a brighter future. Today, 8 rural schools now have both teachers and digital learning. And our vision is to expand Odyssey in 10 more villages so thousands of children can finally dream bigger and reach higher. And how does OSAAT do this? Our OSAAT India team is made up of some of the smartest, most passionate minds, deeply committed to rural children and education. Like training an AI model, they have built a clear framework, selecting schools, building sustainable classrooms, and constantly finding better, more economical ways to serve. Every school we take up must have more than 400 students, an engaged principal and teacher, and strong community support. This ensures that every project is not just a school building, but a lasting partnership that multiplies impact for generations. Thanks to the generosity of all the donors and tireless dedication of our volunteers, we have rebuilt over 120 plus rural schools, empowered 160,000 children daily, and pioneered digital learning programs in more than 100 schools. And we have projects in 10 different states in India. I won't go into facts and figures. You can easily find those online. But tonight, I want to share something far more personal, what I have seen and experienced firsthand during my visits to many schools over the past few years. The impact is real. In some schools, the numbers of students, especially girls, has doubled. Students travel 25 to 30 kilometers just to go to OSAAT school because they know that these schools offer better education and opportunities. And the students have transformed into dreamers and achievers. When we ask them about their aspiration, they don't hesitate. They want to be administrators, teachers, pilots. It's incredible to see them on a path so different from what might have been expected of them just a generation ago. What we have done together is more than just building schools, we have empowered their dreams. None of this would have been possible without each and every one of you, our volunteers, donors, supporters, who have stood by OSAAT's mission, believing that education has the power to change lives. Tonight is a celebration of your impact, and we are deeply grateful for your unwavering support. As we celebrate this milestone, we also look ahead towards a future where every child, no matter where they are born, has access to quality education and achieve their dreams. Thank you.
Almost dropped the mic. Thank you, Anu. It's so powerful to hear about the ambitious scale that OSAAT as an organization has in mind over the next several years. And we just thank you all tonight for coming out and giving us all the opportunity to be part of this collective impact. So now we're going to transition to a video where you will hear more directly from many students that OSAAT has had a chance to impact.
Namaste, I'm Dr. Chaitanya Balapayyagun. I am an alumnus of Sri Mahalaya Vidyalaya Ravanduvadi. I studied my schooling until 10th in Sri Mahalaya Vidyalaya, and I did my undergraduation and masters in India. Afterwards, I moved to South Korea and pursued the credit must go to OSAAT Foundation. With these efforts, I believe that many more success stories will emerge from my school. On behalf of all the alumni of Sri Mahadev Vidyalaya, I express my heartfelt gratitude to OSAAT Foundation for your work on rural education. I hope you will keep supporting us in future as well.
Thank you, OSAAT, for your commitment and kindness to education. We are grateful for your support and look forward to a future of our students. Thank you again. Thank you, OSAAT.
That was amazing. And you know, one of the things that I really think about when I watch that video, and I've had the opportunity through the preparation of this process to get deeper on student stories and student impact stories, is the ripple effect, right? Which is that for every child that OSAAT helps educate, they not only uplift themselves and their potential, their families, but in many cases a whole community. Statistics show that for each additional year of education, that can increase an individual student's income by 10%, transforming their earning potential and the impact that they can make for their family and their community for generations to come. And we all have a story. I'm sure many of you, as you came here tonight and as you sit here listening to and being inspired by the impact, or thinking about how education has transformed your lives or the lives of someone you know in your family. And that risk-taking and that ability to be bold, how that changes the entire trajectory, right? My paternal grandmother was one such trailblazer that I think about often. In the 1950s and 60s, at a time when it was rare for women in India to pursue advanced education and have the opportunity to, she actually earned multiple degrees. And she went on to become a senior officer and judge in the Indian railway system. Thank you. And I think about her example so much whenever I encounter challenging days or moments, and just think about what it must have been like for her to be bold and take that leap of faith and continue on with an education and transfer all of that knowledge and resource to my parents and obviously us, my brother, and everyone else to come. So to continue this inspiring thread, it's my honor to invite Chandar Pattabhiram, the Chief Go-to-Market Officer at Workato and OSAAT board member, as well as our next special guest, Yamini Rangan, the CEO of HubSpot, to the stage. Thank you both.
No offense to Jeetu, he was great. We have saved the best inspiration for last. Yamini is going to come up. Now, you know you're in the Silicon Valley, that even when you come to a charity event, the inspiration is full stack. We had inspiration at the infrastructure level at Cisco and Jeetu. Now we get inspiration at the application level with Yamini. So now you know you're at the Valley. But, you know, I can go give a 2-minute introduction of Yamini and say a lot of good things. But I will be then wasting 2 minutes of you hearing from her on what a great inspiration she is and the story that she has. So rather than telling you all the things about her, except I will say that she's a great leader who runs a $25 billion market cap company, one of the coolest companies in the world, from my opinion. I've respected her a lot. And more importantly, she's a terrific person. So let's hear from Yamini rather than me talking about her. Let's invite Yamini Rangan on stage. All right.
Thank you so much, Chandar.
Great to have you. Please have a seat.
We just have dinner coming, so we're stopping the dinner from coming, so we just have to like go fast.
There's a lot of good food for thought from you. They're going to digest
good.
a lot from you before we get to dinner. Now, how many of you have heard of Udumalpet? Okay, there's about 7 people in the room.
I want to meet you all.
Yeah, I want to meet all the people. Let's take a picture of all the people who raised their hands, right? I want to start the story today in Udumalpet. That's where Yamini is from. I want to know, how was it growing up in Udumalpet, which is near Coimbatore, by the way, if you do ChatGPT on it. How was it growing up in Udumalpet in kind of an environment like that, and how did it shape you? What did you learn? How did it shape you?
Yeah, it is not on the map, so don't even go look for Udumalpet on the map. It is not on a map. It's a small rural town is about like 60 kilometers from Coimbatore, which is the nearest larger city. And I grew up in Udumalpet in, the 70s and the 80s, giving away my age. And it was a agricultural town. And pretty much everybody was either in cotton, growing cotton, and sending it to Tirupur, which has become a world-famous place for sending, fabrics. And then it was rice and sugarcane. And I grew up in the super small town, and it was my sister, who is like 2 years older. She lives here now in Menlo Park, and myself. And it was very stereotypical, 70s, 80s India. The only thing is, like, the school that I was going to, it was growing with us. So when we started, it had like 5 up to 5th grade, and then by the time we kind of like moved into middle school, it grew to 8th grade, and then it decided to stop. And so they decided that they were not going to like have anything over 10th grade. And so the whole conversation in our family was, how are you going to finish your high school? Wow. And my sister said, okay, I'm just going to go off to Chennai because I want to go to a big city. And I told my mom that I'm not going to go to anybody's house. I won't go to boarding school. So the conversation in the house was a lot about where we would finish school.
Wow.
And my dad, and I used to hear this conversation between my mom and dad. And my dad would be like, it's okay if she doesn't, go to a great school. And my mom is like, absolutely not. She needs to get a great education. She needs to get out of this place. She needs to be independent, and we got to find a way. And so these conversations would happen a lot. And finally, my mom decided that she was going to move to Coimbatore. You know Coimbatore.
Of course.
Your roots are from there. And so she moved to Coimbatore so that I could finish my high school education there.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk about your mom. I've heard you talk about it. I had the pleasure of meeting her also. And you've said this, that your mom was such an inspiration that we talk about empowering dreams as the thing, as empowering your dream. And you've said that, your mom used to bring clippings of, the first woman who climbed Everest, or the first woman who was a pilot, just to inspire you guys. Tell us the story of your mom.
Yeah, look, the story is that my mom actually grew up in Mumbai. And she grew up in a big city. She worked for the Reserve Bank of India, had gotten arranged marriage to my dad, and moved to this deep south little place. And so she had this whole dream for herself, and she couldn't fulfill that. And therefore, she looked at the two of us and she said, yes, I have 2 daughters, but I want both of them to be exceptionally well-educated, economically independent, and always stand up for themselves. So her dream was for us to get an incredible education. And so I know that she's an incredible cook. She lives with us. She still cooks for us. She's an incredible cook, but she fed us ambition. And anytime there was any news clipping about the first woman who was a lawyer that won a case, the first doctor who did something impressive, the first person who climbed the Mount Everest, every one of these things would become dinner table fodder for us. And she fed us this ambition, and she believed in our ability. We had no right. I was in a small rural town that is still not on the map in India. We had no right to dream big, but she believed in our ability to dream big. And I think it's her belief that is what has been like a fodder for inspiration for my whole life.
That's an awesome. Feeding us ambition. That is such a great line. That's such an awesome line. That's something I'll remember. Now, while you were growing up, just going back to education, anybody else influenced you in your life apart from your mom in your early life, Yamini?
Look, I think like lots of inspiration. My grandfather was an inspiration. Before we had organic farming, he was an organic farmer. This was 1950s and 1960s. He'd gotten a small plot of land, and he went into agriculture, and he was an organic farmer. And he also became vertically integrated. You talk about full stack. He was a full stack organic farmer, because he started with sugarcane and rice, and then decided that in order to do organic farming, you couldn't use any of the chemical fertilizers. So he actually used farm products and animal products to build like natural fertilizers, and he did that. And he was so successful, and he found that he didn't have any place to welcome visitors into this little town. So he actually built a lodge and a restaurant. So he's very vertically, he's exceptionally entrepreneurial. And one of the things that brings us back to OSAAT, that I'll tie it back, is that he had an exceptionally successful career in this very small town, being an agriculturalist and an innovator in that. And by the time he was 50, he was done.
What age?
He was done.
50?
At 50, he said, I'm done. And then he proceeded to give away everything that he had built.
Wow.
And by the time he passed away, he was riding a cycle, and he was actually, and when he was at his peak, he had like 4 cars waiting for him. He was so happy giving away every bit of the wealth that he had created to improve the lives of others.
That's awesome.
So
That's
inspiration.
That's inspiration. That's awesome. We talk about, go-getters and go-givers and how do you transform in life. That's a great story of that.
Right.
Speaking of story, I read that when you were young, you read a lot of Nancy Drew and all that pattern matching. Tell us more.
I was really into reading, and I would look at every single book that was available. And one of my favorite genres was mystery reading, and my whole thing was trying to trick myself to figuring out the answer before the book actually gave away the answer. And so the genre was, anything and everything to do with, detective work, Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys. It just continued to the point where I was in this small town, and there was one library, and I wouldn't even leave the house. I would ask my mom to go and bring books, and she would go to the market to buy something, and then she would pick 5 books and she'd bring it, to the point where I read every single book in the library. Everything had my name in the back cover. Wow. And they basically said, your daughter has read everything. So sorry, there is no more book in this little town. And so, one of the reasons why we had to get out was because I lived and tried to expand my horizon by reading and learning and trying to figure patterns that were much beyond what was available in my town.
Do you read a lot still?
I love reading. I still do. I think I always have a stack of books everywhere. I have books in my office, I have books near my bed, and I probably buy 5 books a month from Amazon, so continue to be a voracious reader.
That's awesome. Let's then expand the story, move it forward. Okay, so Coimbatore education, mom's is feeding you ambitions, you get through college, you come to the US with $150. What happened?
Yeah, there's a little story before that. So here's the thing, and this will resonate with a lot of women here and that are listening. My mom feeds me a lot of ambition. I get super into having an education and being economically independent. And I go to college in Coimbatore, and I go to an engineering school in Coimbatore. There were about 20 of us in a college of about 350 students. And literally the first year of my college, every day I got questions about why I was there. And there's no reason for a woman to actually study engineering. You're just not going to be good at it anyway. You're actually going to get married and have kids, and you're going to give up your career anyway. Literally, this was the stereotype in India back in the 80s and 90s. And I tolerated it for about 6 months of the year. I was the first year I was there, okay, this is part of my first year process. I'll take all of this. And then, in a whim, month 6 of my engineering, there was this other guy who was also kind of, competing for the #1 spot. I was kind of behind him, and he said, well, you're never going to catch up to me. And I looked at him and I said, I'm going to be the best engineer in this college. And it was just this whim, because we were getting, as women, stereotyped about what the expectations society had on what we would do with our education. And on a whim, I said to him, and I said, I'm going to be the best engineer in this college. And I think at that point, I started taking myself seriously. I don't think I had grand ambitions to do something. I went to college because that is what is expected. And when I was, I had all of these very different expectations of society compared to the expectations of my mom and my parents, then I said, I'm going to do something with it. And I did graduate at the top of the class. And, then, like you said, I just moved here.
That's great. I can't say that about myself for sure, graduating at the top of the class, but that's a different story. But I'll ask you this, doing engineering gives a set of thinking, teaches you thinking, whatever the engineering is, yes. Whatever it's mechanical. So tell me, how did engineering help you kind of that degree into how you operate later in life?
I think, it's really first principles thinking. And that's a big jargon-filled word, but it really is about how do you break down problems? and how do you solve problems in a somewhat structured way that can then scale. And honestly, I think I've moved on in my life from engineering into sales, into marketing, into customer success, and my current role. And in every one of those places, it has been about how to solve problems and how to scale once you know how to solve problems. And so it's been super helpful throughout.
No, it's great. Now, one of the toughest things you did, like you went from a profession like engineering, for example, like there's very few women in it. In India, obviously, there was the whole stereotype around not being engineers. When you come to America, there are very few engineers. And then you move into sales, where there are very few women.
Yes.
To sales, there are even lesser women in sales.
Yes.
So what was the catalyst to pivot from, as Larry Ellison would say, building shit to, what he would say, of selling shit, as Larry Ellison would say, right?
So you only have to do two things. Build stuff or sell stuff.
Sell stuff, right?
Yeah, it's so I did move to the US, and it was like many of us here, one-way ticket, lots of ambition and drive, and I came here and I did a master's in computer engineering, worked in coding for a few years, and then I wanted to go to business school, because mostly if you don't know what to do in life, you go to business school. And so I went to business school in Berkeley here, and when I got out of business school, it was right after 9/11. Nobody was hiring. And it was a fairly bleak economic, picture. And so the first job I got was at the time Siebel Systems,
Great
which,
company.
is the original CRM company. And I joined their product marketing organization. And the first day that I joined, they laid off half the class. So literally laid off half the class.
This was what, 2001 or 2000?
This was 2002.
2002, the whole crash.
Laid off half the class, and then they basically said, well, you still have a job, but it's in sales. And the first thing that went through me is like, what am I going to tell my mom? First of all, she's disappointed that I'm not a doctor. And then she thought that I would somehow survive being an engineer. Now I have to tell her that I'm going to sell software? I was like, that was literally the first. And then I was like, okay, I still have a job. I need to figure this out. And I'm absolutely an introverted engineer. And part of it was now I had a sales quota. And I had an overlay sales role, and they said, here's your team, go figure out how to sell. And I'll tell you, I did everything wrong in the first year. I tried to learn golf. Disaster. I tried to watch Sunday night football.
That's
Disaster.
Pretty good. Not really, really.
I didn't even understand cricket. So this was a whole new sport. I had no idea what I was doing. And it was a very awkward first 5 minutes of every sales call that I just watch and I would see if someone is going to speak, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then I said, you know what? I am an engineer. I know how to solve problems. And so I'd prepare for every sales call like an engineer would. I read 10Ks, I read 10Qs, I would listen to anything and everything about the company that I was meeting, and I prepared, with 20 different questions that were mostly insightful. And so the first 5 minutes were awkward. The next 25 minutes was really good. The early, mentoring that I got was that in sales, your job is to earn the next meeting. And that's it.
Move it forward.
That's it. And so the 25 minutes, my goal was to earn the next meeting. And I did everything possible using, everything that was not salesy. And so I think part of it is you have to learn what your strength is. You don't have to follow what someone else's strength is. And you just have to learn that, in my case, being an introverted engineer that could read 10Ks and 10Qs was my only strength. And so I started with that.
Focus on that. That's great. That's great. I want to go back to this introverted engineer. Now, it's hard for me to believe that you're an introvert, but you say that. But you have a job that requires a lot of engagement as as the CEO of a very high-profile company. So there's always this balance between the depth of relationship. I've heard you talk about you like one-on-one discussions and relationships. There's a balance between the depth of relationships you want and the breadth of expectations of people you have to meet, like this occasion, other people's. So how do you balance in relationship building between the depth and the breadth?
I think by being present. I don't think it's the difference between an introvert and an extrovert is that I have to go back and recharge myself after this. I have to go back and tomorrow have a quiet day in order to kind of re-engage and get the energy. That's the difference. But I think in any case, you have to be present. And I do like one-on-ones. I do like smaller group meetings because you can go deeper. You can get to know whether it's a partner or a customer or an employee. You can get to know that person at a level of depth. And you can do it at a certain scale. I just don't get energy from 200 people all at the same time. And you just have to know and recognize it. But there's part of the job where you really do need to understand the constituents that you have to serve, and you have to do it really well by being present.
It's great. It's great. Now, the one thing you said, I read something very profound you said, and I just want to bring it out here for all of us. You said that every aspiring leader has two paths in front of them, a visible one and an invisible one.
Yeah.
That's a sage line. So unpack it for us. What does it mean?
Yeah, it's a sage line. Thank you for saying that. So, we all in our lives are trying to figure out what is our career path. Where do we go next? And what do we accomplish? And what does that bring in terms of fulfillment? And the visible path is that, like me, if you start in sales and you become a VP of sales and you become an SVP of sales and you hopefully at some point become a chief revenue officer, and that's the visible path. And I think you could do that in marketing. You've done an exceptional job in marketing. You can do it in product. And there is a very hierarchical approach in terms of roles that you can have within the organization that you serve. Then there is an invisible path of leadership. And that invisible path of leadership, you just don't know where your next break or your next job is actually going to come from. And it comes from really connecting the dots across the business. So I'll give you an example. I joined Dropbox leading their business operations. And one of the things that I took upon myself when I joined Dropbox was to understand our product organization really well, understand our growth function within marketing really well, understand customer support function. It was not in my job description to do that, but the only way I was going to add value to folks was trying to connect the insights across multiple functions. And I did that. And when I did that, when a job opened up, because there's always someone leaving at the higher levels of the company, I didn't even know that I was in the succession for a much bigger opportunity and a role. And that's an invisible role. A lot of folks within organizations forget that the more you do for the customer and the more you do for the company, the better your career is going to look like. And most of the time, you just have to, interview for your first role. After that, it's all about how you serve others so that roles come to you. And that is the invisible path in leadership.
It's great. Love it, love it, love it. Now let's have some fun. Okay, we're going to do a sharpshooting round.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we know the real Yamini here, the person.
Okay.
I'm going to have 10 questions. I'm going to sharpshoot these. Let's go. It's a quick round, full fun speed. Favorite movie?
Thillamulla.
Thillamulla. How many of us know Thillamulla? It's all the Tamil people. Okay, for all of those, it is Golmaal in Tamil. For all the folks in Hindi,
That's
it's
right.
Golmaal in Tamil. Amul Palekar, that was made in Tamil. All right, some guy likes it there. Okay. Favorite book?
Mindset.
Oh, yes, Mindset. Carol Bartz.
Yep.
Okay, anything in non-fiction? Fiction, sorry, fiction. Anything in fiction?
I haven't read fiction.
Okay, all right, Mindset, great book, great book. Rafi or Kishore?
Rafi.
Rafi, oh, okay. That's a lot.
Sorry, I love Kishore as well.
Any favorite song?
Favorite song?
Rafi song?
Chaudhry Ka Chand.
Wow, Chaudhry Ka Chand, very nice. You want to sing? Cash, your husband is a great singer, so we should probably have him sing it at some point in time. Okay, favorite superhero?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, okay, that's great. Okay, go to comfort food at home.
Go to comfort food at home. 2-minute Maggi noodles.
Wow.
And a glass of nice red wine.
Glass of nice
Yes.
red wine. Okay, we can do the red wine today. We don't have the Maggi noodles, I think. We can't do that today, but that's great. Favorite musician?
A.R. Rahman.
A.R. Rahman. Okay, cool, very cool. Podcast you would always return to?
That's a hard one. There's so many new podcasters that are out there, but my recent favorite is Amy Poehler.
She's good.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Very good. Okay, one leader you'd like to invite for dinner?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
Sorry.
Not Michelle. Barack. Okay.
Barack Obama for sure.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, the people to the left of me are clapping.
know,
The people to the right of me are not
Exactly.
clapping. So,
I was
and that was implied in the answer, I guess. But we'll leave it at that. One or two words. Okay, somebody says 1 or 2 words to describe Yamini. What would they say?
What would you say, Chandar?
What would I say? I would say invigorating. That's what I would say.
Thank you.
Yeah. What would others people say?
Not invigorating.
No,
I'm just kidding.
those are 2 words, by the way. I asked for 1 word.
I think they'd say clarity and empathy.
Clarity and empathy. Okay, great. Now, this is for all the Tamil guys in the room. This is a Coke or Pepsi question. Kamal or Rajini?
You really want to get me in trouble.
Well,
okay, Rajini.
Okay,
Yes.
that was the answer.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Superstar, always. Okay, wonderful. Now, I want to come back to capstone this with what we started with. You know, education has been such an important emphasis in your life, you know, getting from where you were, from Udumallpete to now. For the students of, you know, OSAAT supports, you know, what message you'd like to share about education and the importance of it, Yamini?
Look, I think Jeetu's story was just exceptionally inspirational. There's someone that believes in you. And I think in the case of my story, it was my mom's belief that even though we were women growing up in the 70s and 80s in India, that we could dream big, that we could have big ambitions, that we could work and get those ambitions and dreams really fulfilled. And the whole empowering dreams idea really resonates. And it comes down to this: do you help someone dream big? And can you empower someone else's dream? Because that is literally the basics of what we can do. And so I'd say that the deep faith that you can show in one person or an entire school system will change lives, and it'll change lives beyond what you can imagine. Because like Jeetu was saying, it is really about how do you teach someone how to fish, which is what foundational education does. And so you introduced me to OSAAT, and it's just been incredible to hear the success that you've had so far, the ability to go beyond doing it in 1 or 2 schools to getting it to 120 schools. That scaling is exceptionally difficult. And I think this organization has done it really well. Kudos to you and the whole OSAAT team.
It's a completely wonderful. Kudos to the team. Kudos to the team. Now, just a couple of more things very quickly. Giving back is obviously important to you. Any ways you're giving back today? Any things that you're doing?
Honestly, everything in education. You know, we have...
Ding, 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 ding.
Exactly. Everything in education, because that's the core of my life has been about growing up in a small town and having the opportunities to dream big, and it's all because of the education. And so we have a small Sevalaya in Coimbatore where we have 120 kids that are mostly abandoned and are orphaned, that we've been helping to get educated and get all the way up to school. I'm part of Berkeley. I went to Berkeley, so we've created a whole program for gender and equity in leadership, as well as sustainable leadership efforts. And so I think, you know, the only way we can actually give back is by helping others believe in themselves through education.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great through line here. Last question as we leave. There's a lot of people here, and, you know, 1 week from now, if they have to go to the water cooler and say, this is one piece of advice that I got from Yamini that was memorable. What's the one piece of advice you want to leave people with?
Wow, that's a tough one. I'd say the one piece of advice that my mom gave me, and this hopefully resonates, which is no matter what job you do, be the best at it. And this is literally the piece of advice she has given me throughout, and I've taken that in every one of my jobs over the past 30 years. Just try to be the best at the job.
Wonderful. I'll take those words to my daughters tonight. Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yamini Rangan, one more time. Right. Awesome. That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandar and Yamini. That was incredible. Please give them a round of applause. And Chandra, you're an incredible moderator. That was fun to watch. So many nuggets of wisdom and personal information for me. That was really, really inspiring to see. So much to unpack, but things that stood out to me, the persistence of her mother and how much, what a role she played for you, you taking risks when there were roles that were not defined for you, and also finding your own personal strength. You know, today has been an incredible evening. We've seen it with Jitu, we've seen it with Yamini. So many folks sitting in this room today in Silicon Valley, the power of the education that you had in your life, people who believed in you, the one person that mentored you early on in your career, enabled you to often change the trajectory for a family, for your whole community. You often became the role models for your whole cities. And so we all have an opportunity today to pay it forward to someone else. And so what we're going to do now is bring the last portion of the evening to here. We're going to keep the momentum going with a very special part of the evening, which is our pledge drive. So every contribution, big or small, is going to bring us one step closer to our goal, which we talked about, which is 1 million students by 2030. So what we're going to do now is actually show you a video on the perspective of a donor. What does a donor gain from this process? How do you collaborate with the schools? And it's just incredible to see the long journey many of the donors have actually had with the school. And then we'd like to invite B.V. Jagadish, he's the chairman of the OSAAT board, to actually show you how far your dollar can go and just how the impact goes forward as you make your donation today. So please start the video, and I'd like to invite B.V. Jagadish.
नमस्ते। आप सबसे मिलकर बहुत खुशी हो रही है। हम पहले मिले थे 2017 में जब आपका ओसैट स्कूल का इनॉग्रेशन हुआ था। हम ये जानना चाहते हैं कि आपके स्कूल में ओसैट की बिल्डिंग बनने के बाद कैसा प्रभाव हुआ है?
ओसैट बिल्डिंग बनने से पहले हम लोगों ने जो स्कूल की स्टार्टिंग की थी वो अंदर घर के बरामदे से की थी। उसके बाद थोड़े बच्चे बढ़े तो हम लोग पेड़ के नीचे आए। जब ओसैट की बिल्डिंग नहीं बनी थी तो धूप हो, ज्यादा धूप है तो या हम बच्चों को भेज देते थे या पेड़ के नीचे सिमट जाते थे, और बारिश हो तो बच्चों को घर भेजा जाता था। तो बिल्डिंग के बनने से ये रहा कि हमको एक शेल्टर मिल गया। और मैंने 12th में काफी अच्छे मार्क्स लेके आई थी, फिर मैंने यहीं पे टीचिंग ज्वाइनिंग कर ली। इनके पास संघर्ष की कहानी है हमारी स्कूल की, और ये बेंचेस इनको नहीं मिले, तो ये बच्चे जितने मेरे पुराने हैं अभी भी स्कूल से मिलने आते हैं, अपने इस ओसैट बिल्डिंग में आते हैं मैं मिलने। और
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
How do you all feel like, you know, coming to the new classroom compared to your older school that was there before?
OSAAT is one of the boons, sir. Like I'm seeing all the things what you're doing in different districts also. We approached you and we got such a building, good building, where our students are like, they are feeling something like they are sitting in international schools, sitting in your rooms, you know, sir.
What about the teachers, you know, so how are they finding, and how does it overall helping the improvement of education itself as such in the school?
Definitely, sir. Your support, you know, sir, the strength also has increased. Like we are having a good infrastructure, means definitely it affects the academics also. They used to sit just under the trees and we used to teach them, which was a lot of disturbance. So it's a good.
I'm sure the summer time also it will help to be in a better building like this, right?
So everything is successful and all the work, all the effort is worth it when all of you go and achieve your dream. You want to be a police, you want to be a teacher, you want to be an engineer, go do it, right? You know, so study well, really do very well in your exams and really focus on achieving your dreams. Second thing is, when you come to the school, make sure that it feels that it is yours and, you know, you maintain it. It feels so good to talk to children, you know, who want to pursue their dreams and they have big dreams ahead.
Thank you so much.
We just wanted to hear ಹೇಗಿದೆ, what is the facility like, feedback ಏನಾದರೂ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಅದರ ವಿಷಯ.
ಕೊಠಡಿಗೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳುಗಳ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆಗೆ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಠಡಿಗಳಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಠಡಿಗಳು ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳುಗಳು ಮರದ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಪಾಠವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ಆ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಟಾಯ್ಲೆಟ್ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಹಾಳಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಮುಜುಗರ ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಶೌಚಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಡೋರ್ಗಳೇ ಕೂಡ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಅಂತ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ OSAAT ಅವ್ರು ಬಂದ್ರು. ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಈಗ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಈವನ್ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಅಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕೊಠಡಿಗಳನ್ನ ಕಟ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಶೌಚಾಲಯನ ಕಟ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮನೆ ಕೂಡ ಕಟ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
OSAAT ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ನಮಗೆ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಶೌಚಾಲಯ, ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮನೆ ಮತ್ತು ಟಿವಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ 8ನೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನಮಗೆ. ಕ್ಲಾಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವೇ ಟಿವಿ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪಾಠ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಾಗೆ ನಾವೇ ಕಲಿತೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಗೆ ಅಸೈನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಇದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ.
ಎಕ್ಸಲೆಂಟ್. ನೀ ಮುಂದೆ ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ಯಾ?
ಮಿಸ್ ನಾನು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಮಿಸ್, ಒಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ನನಗೆ.
ಕಟ್ಟಡ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಅಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ, ನಿರಂತರ ಗೈರಾಜರಾಗುತ್ತಿರುವಂತ ಮಕ್ಕಳು, ಅವರ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನು ಕರೆತರುವಂತ ಇದು ಹಿಂದೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಕಳೆದ ವರ್ಷ ಅದರ ಹಿಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷ ಇತ್ತು. ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಅಂತೂ ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನೀವು ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೆತರುವಂತ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಟ್ಟಡದಿಂದಾಗಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಖುಷಿಯಿಂದಾಗಿ ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್. ನಿರಂತರ ಹಾಜರಿದೆ.
When you grow up, what's your dream? What is that you want to do?
I want to become an astronaut.
Astronaut? Wow.
முன்னாடி இருந்ததுக்கும் இப்போதைக்கும் இந்த புது கட்டடம் வந்திருக்கிறதுக்கும் என்னென்ன மாதிரி மாற்றங்கள் தெரியுது உங்களுக்கு?
OSAAT பில்டிங் வந்ததுனால சார் என்ன அப்படின்னா, வெளியிருந்து வரும்போதே வந்து என்ட்ரன்ஸ் அதை பார்க்கும் போதே ஒரு ஹை லுக் இருக்கு சார். நம்முடைய ஸ்கூலுடைய ஸ்ட்ரென்த் இப்போ நியர்லி 1000. நமக்கு ஒரு 22 செக்ஷனுக்கு உண்டான கிளாஸ் ரூம் தான் இருந்தது. இப்போ ஒரு 4 செக்ஷன் அதிகமாக பண்ண வேண்டிய நிலையில நம்ம OSAAT பில்டிங் இருந்ததுனால மாணவர்கள் தான் இப்போ அங்கே உட்கார்ந்து படிக்கிறதுக்கு நல்லா வசதியாக இருக்கு. ஸ்கூல் வந்து ரொம்ப அச்சீவ்லா இருக்கு. அதாவது 6 டாக்டர் ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். ஒரு 9 VIT ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் வெள்ளூர் இன்ஸ்டியூட் ஆஃப் டெக்னாலஜில படிச்ச ஒரு நல்ல நிலை இருக்கா. ஒரு பாப்பா NIT டீச்சர்ல படிச்சிருக்கான்.
20 கிலோமீட்டர்ஸ் வர காரணமே ஸ்கூலோட அப்பியரன்ஸ் தான். ஒன்ஸ் நம்ம ஸ்கூல் நீங்க கேட்டுக்குள்ள வந்தாலே அது வந்து கவர்மெண்ட் ஸ்கூல் தானே அப்படின்னு சொல்லி நிறைய பேருக்கு டவுட் வருது.
லைப்ரரியில எந்தெந்த மாதிரி புக் எல்லாம் படிக்கிறீங்க?
I read sci-fi and fiction books, sir.
ஓகே.
இப்போ இந்த வருஷம் ஒரு பையன் நேஷனல் போயிருக்காங்க ஜிம்னாஸ்டிக். இப்போ 7th கொச்சியில நடந்தது, அதுல 4th பிளேஸ் வாங்கியிருக்காங்க. நேஷனல் லெவல்ல 4th பிளேஸ் வாங்கியிருக்காங்க ஜிம்னாஸ்டிக்ல. அந்த மாதிரி எல்லா கேம்லயும் நம்முடைய ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் வந்து ரொம்ப ஆர்வமா இருக்காங்க சார்.
Sir, we have 2 Radhakrishnan awardees, sir. Sir is last year's Dr. Radhakrishnan awardee, sir, and this year our principal sir also got Dr. Radhakrishnan award from the state, sir.
திருக்குறள் ஞாபகம் வந்தது. ஒழுக்கம் விழுப்பம் தரலான், ஒழுக்கம் உயிரினு ஓம்பப்படும்.
Sam? Well, how are you? How things have been so far? I think the keynote speeches were incredible. You know, feeding the ambition, this just reminds me exactly of my mother. Also being in a village, the B is the Bagalur, which is a small village about 40 miles from Bangalore, which is where I grew up, going to these government schools. And my mom exactly, used to preach us the same thing, that the ambition and the drive and how you should come up in your life, right? And how education plays such an important role. So thank you so much. And I think the story of Jeetu Patel is absolutely wonderful. So the whole keynote speeches and everything that has happened today is absolutely fascinating. A lot of newcomers are here, so I thought I'll just share briefly about the genesis of why we have actually started the One School at a Time organization, almost like 24, 25 years ago. So as I said, I come from a small village called Bagalur, which is where I went to a government school till the grade of 7th. And in 2000, when I visited the village, my parents, by the way, used to stay till 1997. And when I visited the village in 2000, the villagers basically came up, especially the teachers and others in the village. They came up and said, how bad the school that I went to. And when I inspected, my first question was, and I'm sure most of you will have the same question, why wouldn't the government reconstruct this school? Right? That's a natural question. So when we start digging deeper into this, what we realized was the government doesn't actually have money to rebuild these schools. That's the unfortunate part. They have the money to repair the schools, but they don't have the money to reconstruct the schools. So the result is, when school starts to crumble, then roof will start falling apart, windows will start falling apart. The natural thing for any parent, is to start pulling their children out of the school. So those who could afford to send the children to private schools will go, but majority, remember this is government schools, right? There is no fees, there is midday meal which is free, and when the private, some people who end up going to private schools, but majority of them, they will end up not going to school at all, which will go back, and they will go back into child labor. That is what actually triggered us to figure out what can we do to solve this problem. And the first thing that we did was to reconstruct the schools that we went to. And at the same time, my colleague Vadiraj Bhatt, who is in India right now, who was here at that time, even his school near Mangalore had exactly the same issue. So that's when we came together. We said, let's start this organization. And we used to raise very small amount of money. And we called it as One School at a Time because we just wanted to do literally one school on a regular basis. And of course, now I'll show you some charts of how we have progressed. So we are doing multiple schools in the same year. And thanks to our board members and all the donors who are here and all the ones who are going to contribute. So I really thank you for that. And today is about celebrating this moment with the donors who have been contributing to us for many, many years. And the ones who are here, hopefully you'll get inspired by the stories that you have heard. And the wonderful OSAAT family. And everything that has been done today, right, is all done by volunteers. And 100% of the money that we raise in the US, it is going towards the actual cause. There is no overhead. Unlike many other organizations, 100%, excepting the cost of actually doing a show like this, whatever that costs. But other than that, there is no salaried employee, there is no money that goes towards any of the operating expenses. So I'll just share with you a few slides that just talks about the overall impact that we have created, and with the donors' donation that we have received over the years, what have we achieved, right? So essentially, if you look at what it actually takes to build a school, so a typical school is about 6 classrooms with a kitchen and toilets. And the cost per school is anywhere between $100,000 to $120,000. And the average number of students per school is about 400. So the quality of the school is very high, and we believe that these schools will last for about 50 to 60 years. And the proof of that is the schools that we have done almost 25 years ago are still running extremely well. So if you look at from that point of view, if you just do the math, the cost per student per year actually comes down to just about $5. Right? If a school that we have built, which can house about 400 students that can last 60 years, the cost per student that we need to invest is about $5, which is pretty fascinating. I mean, the impact that a small amount of money that can create. And we talked about the digital education, and thanks to COVID. So COVID is the time when majority of the government schools were actually shut down completely. So we realized at that time that we have to continue and help the children to get educated. That's when we came up with this whole digital education model. And what we do is, to these students, we give notebooks, and we give Android tablets, and we have partnered with internet service providers, and we have basically partnered with Google, which provides us the Google Classroom and all of that. So the total cost, and we like to do this as a cluster of 10 schools, because that is when the cost actually works out very well. So a cluster of 10 schools, which has about 1,500 students, right? So the cost of a cluster is about $135,000. So total cost per student for 3 years is about $90. So that per year it's about $30, which is pretty economical. So what this does is puts the students to be at par with the students who are learning in urban, because they are now pretty much up to date from a digital education and digital learning perspective. In fact, I happened to sit in one of the classes, and the teacher was using these tools that we had given and teaching about the human body. And it was so fascinating to sit in the class and to learn, and I almost felt that, why am I not a student now, right? So if you look at the number of schools that we have done, you can see the scaling from a digital offering perspective, and also from a physical offering perspective. Also, the number of schools that we have added over the last several years, right? It's exponentially growing. So these are the schools that we have shortlisted for the year 2025 and 2026. There are about 29 schools or so, and this is across about 7 states within India. And the due diligence, as you heard in one of the speeches, the process of selecting these schools, there is a lot of effort that goes behind actually selecting this. So before we get to these 29 schools, we probably would have rejected almost like 200 schools or so, because we want to make sure that when we build a school, the school potentially has a great opportunity to scale, meaning we start with like 300, 400 students, and pretty much every one of our schools, the population in the school has increased over the years. And we want that kind of school. We have students who come from 10, 15 kilometers to attend to these schools, because the infrastructure is good, the digital education is there, and every child that we talk to, they're absolutely fascinated to come and study in this school. So basically, we have a pledge card in front of all of you, and there is a list of the schools, which is the one that I just showed you. So if you look at this pledge card, you have an opportunity to donate whatever you can, right? You can donate for the entire school, which is in the range of $75,000 to $125,000, or you can donate to part of the school, you can donate to the digital education part of it, or anything you want. Please feel free to contribute, because we collect multiple people's donations, and that's what translates into building these schools. And the other thing that I also want to share is that the corporate social responsibility in India also contributes pretty significantly. So those of you who have companies in India, those of you who have the ability to generate these CSR dollars or CSR rupees, that also can be contributed towards the one school at a time. So there are many people over here who are not only contributing in US dollars, but they're also encouraging their companies in India to give part of that CSR money. And so whatever that is required for any of you to answer questions, we'll be very happy to do that. And I look forward to working with all of you very closely and then building more number of schools and ultimately contributing to uplifting the society and making sure that these children get a fair opportunity to do well in their lives. That's all our objective is. And those of you, if there are any questions, especially for the first-timers, we will be very happy. I would like to actually invite both Rajiv and Chandar to come up here. Perhaps maybe there are any questions from first-timers over here. Right after this.
Dinner is right after this.
Yeah. Any questions?
Maybe people want to eat.
No, yes. Go ahead.
How do you expand this program to the states which I don't see in the list?
How do you?
So how do you expand to other states? Yeah.
Other than the one that we showed?
Yeah.
Other than that, so we have consciously, as a board, we have consciously taken a decision that let's just stick to no more than 5 or 6 states at this point of time. And we have chosen UP is one of the biggest states. We have chosen Bihar as another state, right? Apart from the 4 of the South Indian states. And we believe that the resources that we have, we can meet the challenges of many of these states within that. That's why we are focusing only on about 7 states right now.
Yeah, but I think our intent is to do more states, and we have been expanding into more states. There's a lot of work that goes in. We have to have presence on the ground, right? Because this is about infrastructure. And we also have to be able to work with the communities and the governments. And in some states, it's much more difficult than other states. And so, for example, I think we've been trying to do a school in Bihar. We've done one, right? And it's not as easy to do business in Bihar compared to some of the other states. So all those come into play. And I think over time we will do more. But I think we are now operating in 10+ states overall in the country, and we'll expand.
In Silicon Valley terms, it's a bowling pin strategy. You want to go drive a few states, get rinse and repeatability, and then expand.
Yes, Dinesh. Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you the information. So the question is, I have some funds in India, and can I contribute from India itself directly? In fact, you're absolutely welcome, because all the money is going to be spent in Indian rupees. So we do have a non-profit status over here, and we have a non-profit status in India with the FCRA. So using State Bank of India folks are here as well. They're one of the sponsors, so they're right here. So they are the channel to send the money to the non-profit in India.
I want to call Paddu. Where's Paddu? Paddu, you're on the board, so please come up. He's got a lot of good detailed answers to a lot of these questions too. So come on up, Paddu.
Yeah. Very good question. So this is part of our selection criteria. So we don't randomly just go and do any school that comes and asks us to build. So we do a lot of due diligence to make sure that the school has good support from teachers, from local villagers, and all of those things. Without that, we don't even touch the school. Do you want to add anything?
No, we actually look for the proactiveness in the school. So that means. So we actually look for the proactive schools in a way where we have the good number of student strength and also the teacher, And the village, it should probably, encourage the more education and the environment has to be very proactive. I think those schools are the ones that we usually pick so that it will get prosper very quickly.
Yeah, can I ask? Hello?
Actually, when we did this, when we started ODC in Gujarat, I talked about a school where they had amazing school buildings. They had internet, and we went and talked to the teacher. He didn't know how to turn on the smart TV. We wanted to see. So we tested it. There were just 2 teachers in the school. You are right. So, but what happened when we did the Odissi in collaboration with you have to work with the government officials. So the school gets a lot of attention. And then whatever the principal was struggling for like the past 10 years, suddenly they got all the teachers that they needed. And so basically bringing attention to the school through authorities helps the school.
So one of the challenges which we see in India, and I've been on the board of a girls' school in a small village in Calcutta, is the girls' education. Once they get to the higher age, there's a lot of pressures on marriage and things like that, and even the familial pressures. So how do you tackle that to help the girl child to kind of continue this forward with the education? So is there any success stories? Is there any ratios which is changing?
I think most of the places, I think the education is the only thing that we usually go work with local Gramatana people, and then kind of whenever we get to these kind of situations, we always get involved the local the Gramatana people and then help them with the situation. We did get such occasions, some of those situations, and we were able to intervene a little bit, wherever possible to some extent.
So one anecdotal thing was once some of the girls in the small village, they got very educated, and the challenge was the boys were not as educated. So
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. It was a wonderful evening. Super grateful for all your time and presence. I want to thank all the sponsors. We have State Bank of India, we have Eisner Ampner, we have Lido Advisors, Chug Firm, Shasta Batter. We want to really thank all our sponsors, donors, and all the community we have here and volunteers. We could not have done this without you. Thank you very much. And please enjoy an amazing dinner. And thank you for being here. And then we'll continue the music. I'll hand it off to Paddu.
Yeah. No, all I wanted to say is fill up these pledge cards, and then we have the volunteers here, so they will be able to collect it. So once you fill it up, please hand it over to our volunteers. Our volunteers, please, if they need the pen, pledge card, whatever is needed, so please help them.
And dinner is outside, right?
Yeah, dinner is right outside.
Right outside.
Our door.
Thank you all.
So please hand over the pledge cards, pledge envelopes to volunteers, please. Please hand over pledges to volunteers, please. If you have completed the pledges, please hand it over to volunteers, please. Thank you.
of times, if anybody needs the pledge card, if you don't find
he doesn't know the whole thing. You start.
Yeah.
You only start.
I'll start, and then you'll do the first tantra.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll do
Then
second tantra. Okay, perfect.
I would say you do the. I'm doing the pehla nasha part, right?
I don't know that. I'll learn the first tantra. Isn't that the second tantra?
Yeah, but you sing it first.
Oh, got it.
I'll tell you. We come here. I'll
Just tell me, Alan. Sounds good.
check.
So whoever filled out the pledge card not yet given, so please hand it over to one of the volunteer, please. If you have filled out the pledge card not yet given, please give it to volunteers, please. They are all around on the tables, please. Hand it over. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Patu.
If anybody looking for a pledge card to fill it up, please let us know also. So we will give you the pledge card. Thank you.
Hey folks, hope everyone's enjoying their dinner. As you eat, please take a seat when you can, as Geetesh will come back on stage and continue the musical evening. Thanks.
Check. Good evening, everybody. Am I disturbing or should I give it some time? I know you're all having a great time talking, so I don't want to be disruptive also. I know your hands are occupied with food, but in whatever way you can, let's give a huge round of applause to the OSAAT team. I mean, talking about it for like 10 seconds, the fact that you have a denomination of a school, which is like one school at a time, I think makes it a very powerful thought. That it's very easy for us to kind of know where the donation is going. So I'd want to be really associated with this cause as well. So fantastic job telling the story of that as well. Jagdish ji, great job. And let's do this. I'm just going to keep it breezy. Let me know what you want to hear. I'd love to kind of sing that. Albert, if you don't mind, if you can just bump me up on this. I need more of my vocals. Thank you. We'll do it. We'll do it. All right, so we got a bunch of special requests, so I'm going to go with whatever special requests I get. All right? The song I'm going to sing is someone I learned from, and I consider my mentor in many ways. So let's see if you guys know who this is about. Just reduce the bass of the keys on the monitors. All right, what else are we hearing? If no one says anything, I'll sing whatever I want.
मैं बेड़ियां हजार तोड़ ला मैं पानी विचों साह निचोड़ ला जे इथों कदी रावी लंघ जावे हो तू ही रे तू ही रे तेरे बिना मैं कैसे जीऊं आजा रे आजा रे यूं ही तड़पाना तू मुझको जान रे इन सांसों में बस जा तू कादल गिरदा என்னை உன்னோடு கலந்து விடு காலம் தரைத்தான் என்னை மண்ணோடு கலந்து விடு மைனர் How many Kandus in the house? Kannadiga people in the house, make some noise. ಅನಿಸುತ್ತಿದೆ ಯಾಕೋ ಇಂದು ನೀನೇನೆ ನನ್ನವಳೆಂದು ಮಾಯದ ಲೋಕದಿಂದ ನನಗಾಗಿ ಬಂದವಳೆಂದು ಆಹಾ ಎಂಥ ಮಧುರ ಯಾತನೆ ಕೊಳ್ಳು ಹುಡುಗಿ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ನನ್ನ ಹಾಗೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತಿದೆ ಯಾಕೋ ಎಂದು Let's hear it for Vishal, everybody. ಸೂರ್ಯವು ಸೋನೆಯು ಸೂಸಿದೆ ನಿನ್ನದು ಪರಿಮಳ ಇನ್ಯಾರ ಕನಸಲು ನೀನು ಓಡರೆ ತಳಮಳ ಪೂರ್ಣ ಚಂದಿರ ಹಾಕಿದ ನಿನ್ನಯ ಮೊಗವನು ಕಂಡ ಕ್ಷಣ ನಾ ಕೈದಿ ನೀನೆ ಸೆರಮನೆ ತಪ್ಪಿ ನನ್ನ ಅಪ್ಪಿಕೊಮ್ಮೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತಿದೆ ಯಾಕೋ ಎಂದು ನೀನೇನೆ ನನ್ನವಳೆಂದು ಮಾಯದ ಲೋಕದಿಂದ ನನಗಾಗಿ ಬಂದವಳೆಂದು ಆಹಾ ಎಂತ ಮಧುರ ಯಾತನೆ ಕೊಳ್ಳು ಹುಡುಗಿಯೊಮ್ಮೆ ನನ್ನ ಹಾಗೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ There's this, so during Indian Idol, after Indian Idol, I used to live in Bombay, and there was this guy, we used to meet every often. He'd come home with his guitar and just hang out. And that guy has become a little famous nowadays. So I'll sing a song, I think you'll probably recognize who that is. तेरे लिए Let's hear some claps in the air. 1, 2, 3, go. 1. What song is this? क्योंकि तुम ही हो, अब तुम ही हो, जिंदगी अब तुम ही हो, ओ चैन भी, मेरा दर्द भी, मेरी आशिकी अब तुम ही हो, तेरे लिए ये जिया मैं खुद को जो यूं दे दिया है, तेरी वफा ने मुझको संभाला, सारे गमों को दिल से निकाला, तेरे साथ मेरा है नसीब जुड़ा, तुझे पाके अधूरा न रहा। जन्म 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 साथ चलना यूं ही, कसम तुम्हें कसम आके मिलना यूं ही, एक जान है भले दो बदन हो जुदा, ओ Can we have some guests? So there's a couple of people I'd like to invite on stage. There's this guy called Cash, who apparently pays everyone with cash. Let's have Cash on stage, everybody. There's one more very special appearance. Cash, come on stage. Come on stage. No pressure at all, man. No pressure at all. Who else wants to sing? With the mic on, actually. Who wants to listen to what kind of music? I know that there's a lot of Tamil affiliation. There is Hindi affiliation, I know. What else? What do you guys want to listen to? Kar denge, sir. आपका अरमां आपका नाम मेरा ठिकाना और सही, इन झुकती पलकों के सिवा मेरा ठिकाना और कहीं जचता ही नहीं, आँखों में कोई अब कैश को आके गाने देते हैं। Surprise. Suspense.
first of all, I'm blown away by Geetesh Iyer. God-given gift. Beautiful voice. Incredible. I'm honored. கண்ணோடு கண்களேற்றும் கற்பூர தீபமே கை தீண்டும் போது பாயும் மின்சாரமே உல்லாச மேடை மேலே ஓரங்க நாடகம் இன்பங்கள் பாடம் சொல்லும் என் தாயகம் இன்பெங்கு மூஞ்சலாக நான் போகிறேன் அங்கெங்கு ஆசை தீர் நான் வேகிறேன் உன்றாக மோகனம் என் காதல் வாகனம் செந்தாமரை செந்தீன் மழை என் ஆவி நீயே தேவி ராஜராஜ சோழன் நான். என்னை ஆளும் காதல் தேசம் நீதான். ராஜராஜ சோழன் நான். என்னை ஆளும் காதல் தேசம் நீதான். பூவே காதல் தீவே கண்ணோடு கண்களான உண்டானதே ராஜராஜ சோழன் நான். இணையாளம் காதல் தேசம் நீதான். பூவே காதல் தீவே.
I was not expecting that. Let's hear it for Cash, everybody. I want to introduce another very special person who is, again, a machine learning engineer in the Bay Area. And her name is Shamali. So let's hear it for Shamali, everybody. I thought we'll do a quick duet with her. You ready for that? Let's do it. Albert, is the other mic working?
Check.
Let's hear it for Shamoli, everybody.
पहला नशा पहला खुमार नया प्यार है नया इंतजार कर लूं मैं क्या अपना हाथ ऐ दिले बेकरार मेरे दिले बेकरार तू ही बता पहला नशा पहला खुमार नया प्यार है नया इंतजार
Let's hear it for Shamoli, everybody.
She'll do a solo. Let's do this. One more. I don't know that.
ओ पालनहारे निर्गुण और न्यारे तुमरे बिन हमरा कौनो नहीं तुमरे बिन हमरा कौनो नहीं ओ पालनहारे निर्गुण और न्यारे तुमरे बिन हमरा कौनो नहीं तुम्हें हमका हो संभाले तुम्हें हमरे रखवाले तुमरे बिन हमरा कौनो नहीं तुमरे बिन हमरा कौनो नहीं चंदा में तुम्हें तो दिए हो चांदनी सूरज में उजाला तुम्हीं से ये गगन है मगन तुम्हें तो दिए हो सितारे भगवन ये जीवन तुम्हें ना सवारोगे तो क्या कोई सवारे ओ पालनहारे निर्गुण और न्यारे तुमरे बिन हमरा कौनो नहीं तुमरे बिन हमरा कौनो नहीं तुमरे बिन हमरा
Check. All right. I'm going to do one last song. One last, I think people are having a good time talking. All right, we'll do a couple of songs. I think someone said we'll do a couple of Hindi song requests also came in, so I'll do that and we'll come back. We'll do everything. Another in the next 2-3 songs, rapid.
अपना ही साया देख के तुम जाने जहां शर्मा गई अभी तो ये पहली मंजिल है तुम तो अभी से घबरा गई मेरा क्या होगा सोचो तो जरा अब तुम ही सनम फैसला कीजिए
Okay, how many people know this song? Raise your hands. This song could be the best flirt line ever written. Okay, hear me out, okay? There's a line which says,
यूं तो अकेला बेअक्सर गिर के संभल सकता हूँ मैं
what does that mean? by nature, I'm comfortable with myself. But तुम जो पकड़ लो हाथ मेरा, दुनिया बदल सकता हूँ मैं. That's not done yet. He says, वो सब तो ठीक है, but मांगा है तुम्हें मेरे लिए नहीं, दुनिया के लिए. It's not done. अब तुम ही सनम फैसला कीजिए. यूं तो अकेला बेअक्सर गिर के संभल सकता हूँ मैं. तुम जो पकड़ लो हाथ मेरा, दुनिया बदल सकता हूँ मैं. मांगा है तुम्हें दुनिया के लिए. अब तुम ही सनम फैसला कीजिए. अब तुम ही सनम फैसला कीजिए. अब तुम ही सनम फैसला कीजिए. Is that a great flirt line? Wonderful. See. See. எவரும் சொல்லாமல பூக்களும் வாசம் வீசுது. உறவும் இல்லாமல இருமனம் ஏதோ பேசுது. எவரும் சொல்லாமல குயிலெல்லாம் தானே பாடுது. எதுவும் இல்லாமல மனசெல்லாம் இனிப்பா இனிக்குது. ஓடாது ஓடும் இந்த காலம் அது போல நிலையா நில்லாது. நினைவில் வருவதாரா நினைலா நில்லாது. நிலைவில் வரும் நிறங்களே இளங்காற்று வீசுதே. எச போல பேசுதே. வளையாத மூங்கினில் ராகம் வளைஞ்சு போகுதே. இதுக்கு மேல லிரிக்ஸ் தெரியாதே. தரராரராரரா, தரராரராரரா, All right. चाहे जो तुम्हें पूरे दिल से मिलता है वो मुश्किल से. ऐसा जो कोई कहीं है, बस वो ही सबसे हंसी है. उस हाथ को तुम थाम लो, वो मेहरबान कल हो ना हो. Sing with me. हर घड़ी बदल रही है रूप जिंदगी. छाँव है कभी कभी है धूप जिंदगी. हर पल यहाँ क्या
ऐसा ही अब महसूस दिल को हो रहा है बरसों के पुराने जख्म पे मरहम लगा सा है कुछ ऐसा रहम इस लम्हे में ये लम्हा कहाँ था मेरा अब है सामने इसे छू लो जरा मर जाऊं या जी लो जरा खुशियाँ चूम लो या रो लो जरा मर जाऊं या जी लो जरा
Thank you very much, OSAT team. This was actually a lot of fun. You know, as musicians, we love entertaining, but at the same time, we also like singing, you know, the actual art of singing, and there's a term in Sanskrit called Shrota. So we want people who are entertained and also some Shrota, and it's beautiful that many of you stayed and listened and participated. Thank you very much, Anuji, Parag, Mr. Jagdish, and the team for having me. Really, really happy that I'm associated with this cause. I loved performing. I want everyone to give a huge round of applause for Vishal Venkatraman, everybody. And I hope you guys had fun. Have a good evening, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon again. Thank you very much. Thank you. I thought people were leaving.
घूमर रे